Hi, I would like to show you how to navigate your way through ALEKS, which can be a little confusing in the beginning. This is the screen that you will see when you have completed your initial knowledge check, which, as I've mentioned, you want to get it out of the way immediately. And then you're really ready to dive in and start your path. You're ready to tackle your actual assignments. So this over here is your pie. And the pie is really just to inform you of your progress through the total of 194 topics that comprise this entire course. In other words, you have to get through 194 topics by the end of this course, and you will fill up this entire pie, which will be a very thrilling event for you. However, you don't actually work your way through ALEKS by using the pie. The pie is just telling you what your progress is. The way you work your way through ALEKS is going objective by objective and following the calendar and the due dates and doing your work in a timely fashion so that you complete the objectives by their due date. So how do you access these objectives? Well, you have a couple ways of doing it. One is to click on Start My Path. That will do just fine. And once you're into ALEKS, I think this will actually switch to Follow My Path. Another way is to go up to this hamburger menu, open it up, and then click on Learn. This is basically the same thing as Start My Path. I tend to prefer it. So here I am in Learn, but where am I? I'm given this one problem. How does this relate to the objective that's due on Wednesday, November 2nd? Well, one thing that is really helpful that can be a little hard to figure out in the beginning is how to manipulate these down arrows. So I'm going to click on this one down arrow. And this brings up something called the carousel. So this actually tells me that I'm in the assignment that's due on 9/2. How do I know that? Because that is called prerequisite review and it's all math. Now, interestingly, I only have one thing here. And it just so happens that there are 27 topics in prerequisite review. So in order to understand that, we're going to click on this down arrow. And we're going to find out that Professor Wright has been quite diligent here, and she's already worked her way through 96% of the prerequisite review, and she only has one topic left that is ready to learn, so yay me. In all likelihood, you are going to encounter something very different when you hit Start My Path, because you're going to have a lot more work to do. That's okay, that's normal. But this is how you can tell where you are. You can also tell what's coming next and how much you've completed of what's coming next, chapter by chapter, objective by objective. Let's for now stick with what's left to do for prerequisite review, which is this math problem. Complex fraction involving univariate monomials. ALEKS uses this ridiculously complex terminology. Don't let it be off-putting. This problem is actually not that hard, even though it looks a little gnarly. But let's say you're looking at this problem and you're like, they're telling me to simplify this. I have no idea what to do. So what do? We hit on the explanation. And this will actually walk you through how to solve this complex fraction. You rewrite it as a division, then you rewrite it as a multiplication, you cancel out the things that you can cancel out, and then you end up with a nicely simplified fraction and you get your answer. Okay, so you've just been given the answer to this problem, but as mentioned, ALEKS is algorithmic, so it's not going to just let you off the hook here. When you go for more practice, you're not going to get this exact same problem. What you're going to get is a highly similar problem, and you're going to employ the strategy to solve it that you just learned about in this explanation. So notice when I hit on more practice, I actually have a new problem to tackle. But again, I'm going to deploy the strategy for solving this that I just learned about in the explanation. So let's say I go ahead and I do this and I solve it correctly. Yay. I am going to get a little notification up here in the upper right that I solved this problem correctly. However, the catch to ALEKS is you have to solve a problem like this, a variation of this problem 3 times in a row correctly in order to move on to the next topic. At times, this will drive you crazy, but it is the ALEKS way. They want you to demonstrate that you really know how to do this problem by being able to solve it 3 times in a row correctly. Then and only then can you move on. Okay, so now I'm not going to do this because that would consume too much time, and I'm just trying to show you the nuts and bolts of ALEKS here. So now let's say that actually I want to move on to chapter 1, part 1, and I want to understand what the lay of the land is. Well, I'm being told here that there are 14 total topics in this exercise, and I have 3 that are ready to learn. So let's click on this, and notice we get a whole new carousel. Well, it turns out I have actually 4 topics here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 of them are ready to learn. 1 of them is locked. So you have to do the ready to learn before you can move on to the locked, which will unlock once you have completed the ready to learns. Got it? Okay, so basically this means in order to complete chapter 1, part 1, I have 4 topics left out of the 14, and then I'm done with chapter 1, part 1. What about chapter 1, part 2? Well, I have 5 that are ready to learn, and I know that I have a total of 13 topics in this assignment. I also noticed that I'm going to have a knowledge check because at the end of this, because this is going to be the end of chapter 1. Okay, so let's take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it just so happens that nothing is unlocked here. So I have 5 things to do here, and then I'm done with chapter 1, part 2. So this is how you can always orient yourself to ALEKS. Let me just minimize everything again, is by first bringing up your carousel and then navigating around. These are all the objectives for the entire course here. And you can always find out where you are by using this. Okay, there's more to know about ALEKS, but I think this is a really good start. One other quick thing I'm going to show you is the calendar. Now I have given you all the due dates. However, you can also use this calendar. For some reason, I don't know why, the prerequisite review due date doesn't show up, but I can promise you that all the other ones do. So if you just, I'm in the 2 weeks modality here. So if you just start scrolling through, you can always keep track of all your due dates. As mentioned, these will be falling on Wednesday and Sunday for most of September, and then we're going to go to a weekly Sunday due date after that. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions. If you're having any struggles with ALEKS, please, please, please contact me sooner rather than later.